India and Australia have historically enjoyed cordial socio-economic ties. Being among the largest economies in the Asia-Pacific region, India and Australia, with a combined GDP of $4.1 trillion, present immense opportunities for collaboration in trade and investment. India Exim Bank study titled India's Trade and Investment Relations with Australia, Recent Trends and Potential tries to highlight some of these salient aspects. Australia is the world's 13th largest economy with a nominal GDP of $1.4 trillion in 2020 and is expected to touch $1.8 trillion by 2023. Australia is a highly free and open economy with merchandise trade accounting for 35% of its GDP. Total merchandise trade has increased from $263 billion in 2006 to $457 billion in 2020. While exports amounted to $255 billion in 2020, imports stood at $202 billion. Australia's exports have been dominated by iron ore and concentrates and coal and other solid fuels. These two items accounted for 44% of total exports in 2020. The other major products of export are petroleum gas and gold, including gold plated with platinum among others. While machinery and mechanical appliances accounted for 15% of the total imports of Australia in 2020. This is followed by electrical machinery and equipment and transport vehicles among others. Almost 36% of Australia's exports headed to China. With $7 billion worth of exports, India ranked 6th on Australia's list of export destinations in 2020. China was also the top source of imports for Australia, with merchandise imports from China amounting to $58 billion. India was the 14th largest import source for Australia, with 1.8% of imports originating from India. Australia is an attractive foreign investment destination and is one of the easiest locations in the globe to start a business. The Australian government has always welcomed foreign investments, recognizing the importance of FDI in catering to various needs of the economy. Australia was the 14th largest recipient of FDI globally, with investments worth $19.6 billion in 2020. Contributing to 1/4 of the total share, coal, oil and gas received $63 billion as FDI inflows in Australia. This was followed by investments in renewable energy, software and IT services among others. Maximum investments in Australia were recorded from the USA, accounting for 20% of total capex invested in the country from January 2010 to December 2020. India accounted for inflows amounting to $8 billion in Australia during the same time period. Outward direct investments from Australia have amounted between $7 billion to $14 billion during the last decade, with an adverse impact of the pandemic in 2020. During 2010 to 2020, cumulative FDI outflows from Australia were $116 billion. The real estate sector received the maximum FDI flowing out of Australia from 2010 to 2020, constituting 32% of the total outflow from Australia. The other sectors receiving FDI from Australia are metals, coal, oil and gas, and financial services among others. USA was also the biggest recipient of FDI from Australia, accounting for 18% of the total FDI outflow from 2010 to 2020. During the period, India received direct investment amounting to $3 billion from Australia. India and Australia's bilateral relationship has evolved along a positive track, shaping into a strategic partnership. India has emerged as an important economic and trade partner for Australia. Since 2010, India's total trade with Australia has remained more or less steady at around $13 billion, with a moderation witnessed in 2016 and in 2020 on account of the global pandemic. The total trade between the two countries peaked at $18 billion in 2017, during which exports amounted to $4 billion and imports $14 billion. India's largest export item to Australia in 2020 was petroleum products, accounting for 24% of total exports. Other major products include pharmaceuticals, natural or cultured pearls or stones, machinery and mechanical appliances, electrical machinery and equipment, and articles of iron or steel, among others. As regards imports, petroleum crude was the largest item with a predominant share of 77% in India's import basket. Inorganic chemicals, natural or cultured pearls, ores, slag, and ash were among the other leading import items. Australia enjoys an overall trade surplus with India. Items such as petroleum crude, natural or cultured pearls, inorganic chemicals, and ores, slag, and ash are among the products in which India has the largest trade deficit. On the other hand, items such as pharmaceuticals, iron and steel, electrical machinery, and transport vehicles have recorded a positive trade balance for India. Based on India Exim Bank's analysis, potential items of exports from India to Australia in line with import demand in Australia and India's export capability include machinery and mechanical appliances, electrical machinery, transport vehicles, pharmaceuticals, natural or cultured pearls, plastics and articles, articles of iron or steel, articles of apparel and clothing, organic chemicals, and aluminium articles. During 2010 to 2020, India received investment from Australia amounting to $3.2 billion in 78 FDI projects. The real estate sector received 37% of total FDI investments in India during 2010 to 2020. It was followed by financial services, coal, oil and gas, and renewable energy, among others. FDI outflow from India to Australia amounted to $8 billion during 2010 to 2020 in 87 projects. The majority of Indian investment in Australia is in the renewable energy sector. Other major sectors attracting investment from India are software and IT services, coal, oil and gas, and business services, among others. Australia is known as one of the easiest locations in the world to start a business. There is an enormous possibility of productive investment in key sectors of the Australian economy, which include renewable energy, wind and solar power, critical mineral exploration, infrastructure sector, agribusiness and technology. These are also sectors promoted by the Government of Australia to attract global investments. India and Australia both share similar interests and concerns, which in turn strengthens the relationship. The study recommends the following strategies for enhancing closer collaboration between India and Australia: boosting trade and addressing the trade gap, enhancing maritime security, partnership in renewable energy, early conclusion of the Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Agreement (CECA), and inclusion of India in Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation (APEC). A strong partnership driven by robust investment links between Australia and India, which is an emerging superpower and growth driver in the Asian region, could augur well as a win-win proposition with immense opportunities for further collaboration in various fields of mutual interest.